Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and we have a very fun one today, which is the better investment for value, Firefly versus Runmei. Of course, I know one is a DPS and one is more of a support, but resources are limited, stellar jades are limited, and at this point, some of you will be forced to make a decision. You really want both of them are really strong. Which one is better for your account in terms of current value, and we'll go through many different categories as well. Now, I promise with all of these better investment videos, I'll be super unbiased, just logical comparing between both of them, and I'll leave my own personal bias right at the end of the video if any of you care about any of that. That is my promise to you in all of these videos. So first things first, I always like to start off with current value of characters because I want to know exactly what they bring to our account, what can we do with it, does it add tons of value, and then we will go on to the different categories. So let's start off first with the first character on this list. Of course, let's talk about the new Firefly. A break character that does good amounts of damage, is to some extent colorless breaking as well, because she also is able to deplete toughness even though the enemies don't have fire weakness. So very versatile, very strong, very reminiscent of a character, for example, like Akirion as well. We have to see more numbers as well once we get into the test servers and stuff. We'll do more guides and build guides and whatnot for you guys. But for now, let's take a look at what does she currently offer. She offers, in this case, a very free-to-play comp with a character like Harmony Trailblazer, who gives her and supply her tons of break effect which she wants, super break damage which she doesn't mind as well. And she's a character that plays around energy, which is very nice if you have any like battery characters like Tingyun and stuff like that, who you can like pump it up, ho and stuff. So good amounts of damage, a very strong character that plays into a break effect class that is currently not really explored right now in the game. The only other characters, in my opinion, that play into this category will probably be like Boot Hill and to some extent Xue, who we will be getting for free in version 2.3 and somehow also on the banner. I have no idea why she's on the banner so fast. If you want guides on Xue and how to build her, we already have it on channel, you can check it out. Boot Hill as well, we talked about him more on the channel too. But for Firefly, I think she really offers an account which doesn't have too much progress. You haven't cleared, you need a main DPS, maybe you have just been pulling supports. I think Firefly will offer a ton of value to those kind of accounts who want to push in further. In my opinion, like based on guessing, and this is where I'll slot in a bit of bias, I think she's going to be a very fine DPS. If any of you unfortunately didn't manage to pull Akirion, Firefly might be a good alternative to her as well, which is, she's still going to be a bit restrictive, same as Akirion, but we'll talk more in our comparison video between both of them in a little bit. But for free-to-play players or small spenders, a very good bet will be on Firefly. Now coming to the flip side of things, current value of Runmei. Now I want to say that Runmei is having her first rerun, and so far to date, we have not had a single character have their second rerun yet. A character like Zila, who is actually the longest character that hasn't been appearing yet, is still not getting her rerun. Instead, they put Argenti first. So what you can see, once you miss the first rerun, you are pretty much going to miss the character for a really long time. For those of you wanters of Runmei, I think that this is something that you want to keep in mind. If you miss Runmei here, likely you'll probably never pull her, or maybe 1 year later, and a lot of you might have, maybe, hopefully not, but maybe have stopped playing the game or whatsoever. If you like your character, go for them. Hoyoverse is very smart. They put in two characters that a lot of people want, so that you're forced to spend. Maybe it's the Wuwa effect, I don't really know. But anyways, that's a quick shout out to our Wuwa channel here at WW on YouTube. You can search it, EODGamer Wuthering Waves. You'll find our second channel there where we do guides, free to play guides on our second channel. So Runmei, what does she offer? She offers a ton of buffing. She fits into any single team whatsoever. If you are confused, you want to play break, put Runmei, she will work fine. You are confused, you want to put DOT, she works fine as well. You are confused, you want to play Akirion, two Nihilities maybe might struggle a little bit right now in version 2.3, unless you have her like at E2 or something like that. But in future, if we have a Nihility healer, Runmei is fine there too, to maximize her value. You want to play Hyper Carry, she's fine. You want to play Argenti kind of comps in the Pure Fiction, you can work her there too. Follow up team compositions, Runmei is not too bad. She basically fits into almost any single team and offers you tons of versatility, which is why if you've seen our recent top pick video, she's one of our highest recommendations for most players. Unfortunately, she's released with a very popular character, but I think she will add tons of value to any account, regardless of what stage of the game you are at. The question is, do you want to go for multiple copies of this character or her signature light cone? Well, we will talk about that in our subsequent video when you talk about further investment. But for this case, I just want to compare base value, the first copy in this video here. So next up, after talking a bit about their current value and what they offer to general accounts, I want to talk about alternatives. It's very important to consider alternatives because there's no point pulling a character that there are 5,000 other characters that do exactly the same thing, or a 4-star comparison that do exactly the same thing. In terms of alternatives for the both of them, let's start off with the easy one first, which is probably like Runmei. Her biggest competition probably will be other 5-star limited characters, for example like Robin, for example like Sparkle. These two are probably her greatest competition. Nowadays, to a lesser extent, Bronya, so I'll just like move her aside because Bronya is technically like a standard character nowadays. And other than that, she also competes with the support buff, debuffing role, like for example Pella and Silverwolf to some extent, because those categories, they mainly occupy the same slot. You hardly run a Nihility debuffing support kind of unit together with a Harmony unless in special situations. So I'll just put it as an alternative here, as one of the alternatives. So damage increasing units basically on the right side. On the left side here, Firefly, I would say that she's a very unique character because she's like a Jingliu, Imbibitor Lunae, Blade kind of destruction character, to some extent, maybe even Akirion kind of character. But instead of solely relying on HP sapping mechanics like Ireland, she has a HP replenishing mechanic like Blade also in her overall kit, which means that you could run a very thick shielder with her, so you can just protect her when she's on lower life and ignore that when she's on higher life. Her main kit functions around break effect, and that's why I think that her main competition or even synergy partners will be any character that works with break effect. So for example like Boot Hill, for example with Sherry are the closest comparisons and alternatives if you're looking for a break effect DPS. But really, realistically speaking, these two characters, Sherry and Boot Hill, can both be played in a sub DPS role, so there aren't really like competition. There are alternatives, but they can all be played, or 2 out of 3 of them can be played together on the same team, and I don't think there's any issue with that. The real like competition will probably be other DPSs, and because Firefly is a fire DPS, your real question is, do you want to play Himiko, who is a AoE fire DPS, or for example like Hook, who's a single target fire DPS, or do you want to play Firefly? Most people would probably like tend towards Firefly if you're looking for a fire DPS. At the same time, Himiko, Hook don't hit enemies who are not weak to fire, whereas Firefly does offer a bit of Akirion-like characteristics where you still can deplete the weakness, toughness on enemies who are not weak to fire, which synergizes very nice with characters like, for example, Sherry, who relies on your teammates depleting enemy toughness weakness also, so that's a nice side bonus to have. That's the alternatives category. In my opinion, who wins in the current value and alternatives category? I think that current value, Runmei does offer more than Firefly in a general perspective. So let me just put it up, both of them. So current value, Runmei does offer a little bit more because she's generally, if I throw a stone in the crowd, and I assume any of you are just like statistics, more of you will likely benefit from Runmei at this stage because you likely already have a lot of DPS built. But if you are a new player or a person looking to explore break, then I would say Firefly is slightly higher for current value. And I'm just like, I don't know your account, I don't know you, so I'm just giving like random blanket statements by and large. If you want more specific advice, drop in our Discord and ask us there. We are happy to give you more opinions too. For alternatives as well, let's talk about who wins in this category. In my opinion, Runmei, even though she's a very, very universal support, can do a lot of things. Robin has proven to be a very good alternative to her. Any of you who already have Robin, and maybe you are not interested in playing Harmony on one side, Harmony on the other side, maybe because you have Akirion in the other set, you could explore a character like Firefly a bit more because there are alternatives to Runmei. It may not be as like smooth transition, usable in every single situation at the highest level, but I think it's still a pretty good alternative. Sparkle is also a pretty good alternative because for certain comms you want more skill points, you need more funneling, quick damage focus. Sparkle is actually like more best in slot in those categories, especially like a character like Imbibitor Lunae. Whereas for Firefly, even though there are so many characters on the screen here, you can see that she so-called quote-unquote competes in the fire break category. Like out of all the characters that do like fire break damage, she probably offers the best because she offers colorless break on top of that, where she can deplete toughness breaking of enemies not only weak to fire, she does tons of damage also. So it's a lot more flexible than the other units, and it's definitely a more DPS oriented role rather than a semi-support like Topaz and Nambi, Gui Nai Fen, or a very specialist unit, like for example Fucc and Himiko, who are more like specialist characters. And the other alternatives in the break effect category aren't really alternatives, it's more like teammates that she can play together with. Right now we have so little break effect teams. But if you were to tell me out of the three of them who to pick, I think if you're looking for break effect comp, probably Boot Hill is the most flexible out of all of them, doesn't really need too much support, whereas Firefly is going to be the one that's carrying your account, so she's the one that is like the main bread and butter of accounts if you're trying to push further into whatever stage you're at. That's my opinion on Firefly and alternatives. I think for alternatives, I'll give the win to Firefly. I think she's just in a better position compared to Runmei, who has quite a bit of competition in the game state currently already. So that is for current game state. Looking at current things, as you can tell, is not very impactful. We also need to compare at the same time future value, because things change very fast. Within like 3 patches, we have 6 new 5-star limited characters, and very quickly a character that was supposed to be meta currently is out of meta because future value is totally wiped out. That's what we're planning to do in this section, and let's talk about both of them. Now, of course, we already mentioned future value. If you're looking to pull Runmei, please consider doing it. You can always get Firefly on her first rerun. It tends to be very quick, like within 6 months if you consider that quick. Whereas the second rerun, we have no idea. So that is a very big factor that I want to remind you guys who are sitting on the fence between these two characters to at least consider. One for sure, one has been tried and tested. Runmei is tried and tested. Firefly, you can still wait for other people to try and test it, see how she performs. What if she is a flop and stuff like that? What if it doesn't work out? You can always pull it on the first rerun because you know that will come sooner or later. It's like a more or less known thing. So that disclaimer aside, let's go and talk about future value. What I want to talk about future value is new sets, new characters, and new styles that are known to be added into the game. What do I think? We know that there's already going to be a new relic set that's going to be added into the game. They teased it during the live stream. It's going to buff break and super break damage. So you can't really look at the landscape for a character like Firefly right now, and if you are pre-farming, you might have to do it again once the new set comes out. So I would just like chill pill on the relics, just get a random usable set for her, and then you had to like probably pre-farm. So that's a better case for like pulling on a rerun. If you haven't had the resources to build your other characters yet, you're scrambling all over the place. You find yourselves like maybe resource strained, but you're already like clearing very well. You don't need a DPS. Then Firefly, in a sense, future value will be even better because you can wait for the new sets to come up. Right now, the only support in the game currently is like Harmony MC specific for break effect, buffing kind of thing. You could argue that Runmei is also like decent for buffing, but you'll probably want to play like a sub DPS and then last slot leave it to a healer so you can maximize your DPS, unless you're going for like a hyper carry Firefly playstyle. We'll talk about Firefly teams also in a little bit, but this is not the point of this video. So future value, I would say new characters coming out that can play as a sub DPS for Firefly. We already have quite a few already. You have Boot Hill, you have Xue. So in my opinion, there might not be too many other ones. We are entering the Xianzhou Luofu arc, or the Xianzhou Zuming, or the Xianzhou Yaoqing and stuff like that, all the other Xianzhou stuff that they tease towards the end. So it could signify that we are going to change in the playstyle. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But break effect, I think, is more or less getting saturated with Firefly's entrance. So far from what we are feeling on the ground, doesn't seem that anyone thinks that there's going to be more and more break effect DPSs, so power creep might be lesser in this category as well. Runmei, on the other hand, is in a very crowded space. You have characters like Robin, you have characters like, for example, Sparkle as well. These two characters already offer good competition and more likely may come, especially they know people, they want a lot of Harmony characters coming into the game. We have to see how they are planning to take it with the upcoming direction of Xianzhou Luofu, so I'm very interested to see that. In my opinion, between both of them, the one that sustains better value in future tends to be the support, like Runmei, who is able to hedge out over time. The DPS tends to come and go, but it has been shown in the past trend, and that's where we want to evaluate with the length of the channel so far. We have been analyzing data since the start of the game, and characters, for example, like Jingliu, have been meta for very long patches or stretch of time. She does fall out when new characters come out, and those of you who have been playing since the Jingliu era will know that she was super strong, dominant for a really long period of time. Fell off a little bit when other DPSs come into the game, but still usable. For example, now Akirion is like the flavor of the month. Black Swan used to be like the flavor of the month as well. So know that DPSs will come and go. Ultimately, make sure you play the character that makes you happy the most. You like playing that character, and don't get too upset when one day she's not like the cream of the crop. Future value, I tend to give it to the supports a little bit more for logical reasons, for investment value. Not talking about emotional value, investment value here. So I will give it to Runmei. Now the next category that I want to talk about, future value, is more tangible stuff. Potential stuff is looking at Hoyoverse as a company and looking at trends. We have been playing Hoyoverse games for like almost 5 years already, and we have seen a lot of trends and how they do their banner patterns and stuff. If any of you are interested and want to like talk to me about monetization of Hoyoverse, feel free to like do it in the comments or on Discord. We can have a nice chat and have tons of things to say besides this video as well. But anyway, you can see that Hoyoverse is a company that still cares about making profits. That's why they put these two attractive characters in together with wonderful supports, 4-star cast on the banner to just play with these units as well. In my opinion, Hoyoverse will continue to release DPS characters in future, likely going to compete with Firefly. It's very easy to sell DPS character, big flashy, big PP number, decent design, nice design. Firefly has it all with emotional backstory and whatnot. So likely power creep is going to be very tough in the DPS category. But beyond that, beyond just talking about DPS and support and comparing between the both of them, what is more important to see is how do they actually plan their banner cycle. We know that both of these characters have an arc to them. What do I mean by arc is Firefly plays into the Stellaron Hunters arc, which means it's still incentivized to pump in money and resources into this character in future. For example, we see Kafka, Blade, Silverwolf still returning from time to time, and it's very important for them to have some incentive to invest in these characters and for like lore storyline. If they don't care about this and they are just in the dumpster, they will receive no backup, no new sets, don't pushing, no marketing whatsoever, and then the character likely won't have support from another sense. So I see that as a good sign. Stellaron Hunters, a good draft that helps push Firefly in future also for a rerun. Maybe we'll see more of her in lore, and who knows what else. Runmei, on the other hand, plays into the Genius Society, so it's also quite favorable because anytime they want to do like a bit of Genius Society here and there, Runmei might make an appearance in future, maybe a bit of a story lore and stuff. The problem with Runmei's lore is that she's generally a bit not too limelighty kind of a character. She went off to another place, right? She'll say that she'll see us whenever that may be. So I don't think that she's going to be super relevant in terms of a lore scene compared to Firefly. That makes Firefly slightly advantage in that sense. In my personal opinion. So that is the direction that I think Hoyoverse will take. Stellaron Hunters tend to have a little bit more favor, maybe not so much on Genius Society, a character like Runmei. The attention could change when, for example, a character like Skrulum will come into the game, maybe other Genius Society members, maybe they all start comboing with each other and maybe a 5-star Herta. Those are the long-term things, but again, it's very potential. That's why I left it in like the potential category to mention. Ultimately, I think Firefly has a slightly stronger potential. If you're talking about from a Hoyoverse perspective, who is incentivized to sell, they do tend to back their popular characters as well, and seems like Firefly is becoming like a very popular unit in Honkai Star Rail, so they want to like make it a mainstay in the account, try to push it out, similar to how Kafka was too. She does require or get a bit of support from time to time. So right now is the last section here of the unbiased comparison, and that is the free-to-play kit. Free-to-play kit is very important because it's very different comparing E6 of both characters and compared to characters with just their base copy, no limited light cone. So far in the game, we have no 5-star limited 5-star standard harmony light cone in the Herta shop, but we do have a destruction one, which is okay with Firefly, I guess. You could say that it's still usable, but ultimately I think both of them are pretty expensive. One is a DPS character, definitely wants to use better light cones. Runmei, on the other hand, her best in slot tends to be like the 4-star Unit S5 4-star limited the light cone, which is the one that gives break effect. I can't exactly remember the name right now. Even Mashing Cox is not super tremendous with Runmei because she wants a lot of break effect stats. Very difficult to gear this unit also because you need very, very high amounts of break effect to get her full entire buff. So her limited light cone or a 4-star limited light cone is favorable for this character. You also want great sub stats with break effect, with some speed here and there, so that you can give more skill points to the rest of your team. Runmei is a difficult character to build at E0S0. Does she function well at E0S0? Yes, if you can get the stats, and I would say she's free-to-play friendly if you are a long-time free-to-play. If you're a new free-to-play, you will take a while to get into Runmei's kit. She takes a while to ramp up to get the right stats. Firefly, on the other hand, she has good alternatives. Ultimately, 5-star DPSs tend to lack quite a lot if you do not have their signature light cone compared to when you do. The comparison between both of them, I think, is a 20-30% damage difference from past trend of what we've seen, the difference in the light cone values. But that being said, Firefly does have good light cones available for her. She has the Secret Vow, which increases damage, is the Ireland light cone, increases damage at lower life. You could consider using that. We'll do more testing once the creator server is up, and we will do more testing, and I'll do more guides for you in future as well. But stay tuned for that. Long story short, I think that between both of them, I would likely want to give it slightly more to Firefly, just because she's a little bit easier to build. You can just go more break effect, you can go more attack because she skills off attack as well, and then some crit rate, crit damage here, which is pretty much like standard cookie cutter, and she skills with time gets better as you get like better rolls in your stats. The only thing that limits me from saying is the guaranteed free to play is because signature light cone for DPS characters tend to be a lot better, and it will, unfortunately, the difference is quite significant. So that is my opinions for these two, or at least my analysis for these two. Now comes the my personal bias and personal opinion. This is where I be very honest and transparent with you guys, and like not hide behind anything. My opinion is the very big factor is the first rerun rule. Firefly will come back, and she hasn't been tested yet. Now is the novelty, flavor of the month kind of thing, and if you guys can sustain or withstand that flavor of the month, you like this character, but you can hold your urges for another like 6 months, you will get to play her on another date for sure. She's going to come back in the first rerun. Whereas a character like Runmei, if you have been wanting her for a really long time, or you do not have a good Harmony 5-star, I think Runmei will add value to any account. My heart tells me, or my head rather, tells me Runmei is a very clear investment. It's going to add value to any account. Firefly is more of like a novelty kind of thing. She's going to be very, very strong for certain people, but there are many other DPSs that can carry your account. If you like Firefly and it's your own emotional bias, then it's not an investment decision. But for investment decision recommendation, I think that Runmei will be a way better pick compared to Firefly, even though I like them both. Both are very strong DPS, and I'm really, really sorry for you guys that they are both appearing in the same banner. And the devs definitely want to have to make a choice between both of these excellent units. But for that matter, that you can pull one up in a rerun and one slightly is longer away, I would choose the one that offers generally better overall account health. For the general public, general statement, again, sweeping statements, your account might be different. Chat us up on Discord, and in the comment section, ask us questions. A lot of us are very willing to help new players or players that are confused as well make a decision too. And thank you guys so much for watching. More videos will be up on Firefly, Runmei, whatever it is in the channel, so you can check it out when it's ready. And thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next video.